Hey, my friend.
What a welcoming party.
Welcome to Charlotte, North Carolina, to the Billy Graham Library.
Well, this is just more than I could have expected. For you to ride over here from Asheville, you've got a big conference on in Asheville right now.
Well, we got something going on, but I want to come down and spend time with you.
Well, thank you.
Show you the library.
And you know what? I recognize this house over here. That's where your dad was born?
Yeah, it was his childhood home. He grew up in that house. He wasn't born in that.
It was moved.
And it was moved from a place right down the road.
Very good. And well, that's tremendous. Your dad, I talked to him on the phone, Franklin, and he said he was going to be in Georgia, but that's not the state next door.
No, he's a little bit further. He's in Poland right now, actually. He was in Georgia, now he's in Poland.
He's in Poland.
Yeah, he's in Poland now. So he just finished up one crusade.
Thank you.
So he's gone from Tbilisi, Georgia, now to Warsaw, Poland.
Now, does that building, is that supposed to resemble the barn where your grandpa used to milk cows when he was a teenager?
That's what it's supposed to do, but we added a big cross. Everyone's got to go through the foot of the cross. So it's a great place.
Oh,
Look forward to showing it to you again.
Marvelous. Here. Well, where should I park?
You can park right here. This is your parking place. This is just reserved for Canadians.
This is Now, I've got to tell you something here. This old man turns 78 in a few days, so it takes a while to get his leg over the top.
Well, you're doing pretty good.
And I definitely have motorcycle helmet hair.
Well, I think we all do.
But I can remember seeing your grandpa preach outside in a stadium, and his hair was blowing every which way, so I don't care.
No, it just means you've had more fun than the rest of us, too. I wouldn't be jealous of coming from Florida up here. That'd be one hot ride.
Not bad here. I mean, I got a little vent here and the whole thing. It's not bad.
Not too bad.
It's glorious, actually. Anything to do with, I've been biking since I was 14. And when I had a British bike. When I turned 16, I bought a big Hiley 74 cubic inch bike. And I was king of the road as far as I was concerned at 16 years old.
Okay. Well, you got a nice set of wheels here.
Well, I bought that actually as a statement. I mean, this whole trip and coming here is a statement that I believe the Lord has done a miracle in my life. Now, your grandpa, Billy Graham, is 95 now, right?
Yeah, he's 95. He doesn't ride motorcycles anymore, so you're doing pretty good.
I realize that, but I was, 2 years ago, March, I was given 2 years. I was told had a terminal condition, MDS, acute leukemia. And I said to the cancer specialist, not to worry, doctor, I believe I know who's going to meet me at the terminal.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you're here.
And now he just said to a lawyer friend of mine who emailed me last week, the doctor said, he said he's a Roman Catholic. He said, now, if I wasn't a believer before, knowing what's happened to David Mainse, I'm a believer now. Last October, I was a bag of bones. I could never have even thought of doing this. Somehow the Lord has a purpose. But I was miserable for a few days until I found out what the purpose was. So I'll tell you the purpose on the way to Asheville.
All right.
But right now I want to hear about the Billy Graham Center.
Well, as you can see, you'll see this big barn here, which represents my granddaddy's humble beginnings.
Right.
But you'll see the big cross, and we'll go through the foot of the cross. Everyone has to come through the cross to get to God. And so this is just, not that you're getting to God in here, but what you're doing is it's a symbol of our relationship with Jesus.
As Billy Graham's grandson, what is the most important thing in your judgment that you ever asked him about or that he ever told you?
It's probably something I've just observed from him, and that's just his humility. He's the most humble man I've ever met. He had every right to have pride or anything like that, but he never had it. It was just simply to follow Christ and to be obedient to him. Mr. Mainse, this is right here. We're going to go down to where my grandmother is buried. My grandmother died in 2007. This is where she's buried. And when you get down there, you're going to see this brick path. But what you'll notice is it's in the shape of the cross, and she's buried at the foot of the cross. So let me just take you right down here to show you that.
Well,
and
Ruth,
we had part of the service down here as well.
Graham, we've honored her for many years. I was thinking as I drove along the Billy Graham Parkway, how your grandpa has, I know as a favorite son, the state of North Carolina and the city of Charlotte named this beautiful parkway after your grandpa as their favorite son. But I'll tell you, he has opened a great roadway with an amazing example for me and for others who want to be biblical, righteous evangelists. And so we all owe tremendous debt to the Graham family.
Well, that's very kind of you. God's given us so much and helped protect us and blessed us over the years. And you know, my grandfather's originally, you know, from Charlotte, and so he decided that he wanted to be buried here in his home city. And so, unfortunately, my grandmother went first. I guess she's just preparing, getting the house, the mansion ready.
Was she born in Korea or somewhere?
She was born in China.
In China, yeah.
So, but she decided to be buried with her husband here.
The missionary parents.
And you can see the head of the cross would start here. This would be the top of it. You would have these arms right here of the cross. And then where she is, she's at the foot of the cross. And when you look at this, you'll see the rock. The rock, all the rock came from her home, the place in Montreat. And so it came off their property, not literally off the house, but it came from their property. And so she's got a little bit of her home there buried.
You know, it's fitting because as Jesus said, if anyone will follow after me, let him take up his cross daily. Your grandma literally did that because your grandpa was all over the world.
That's exactly right.
Speaking to more people in person than any other human being in history. And she was home raising 5 kids, right?
All right.
She took up her cross.
She did.
And had to be a very special woman to be the wife of Billy Graham.
So this is where she's laid to rest. And what you'll notice on the top of it is a Chinese symbol.
Yes.
All right, and there's actually 2 symbols, one on top, one on the bottom, but they put them together like a compound word, in a sense, a compound symbol. The top part is the lamb. That's the Chinese word for lamb. The bottom one is me, and so it's the lamb over me. And what's that translated? That's translated as righteousness. You know, the lamb's blood covers me, and that's the word for righteousness. And then you'll see it down here. The flowers are somewhat hiding it, but it says, "Into construction, thank you for your patience." And so that's what she wanted on her tombstone. She saw that on the construction sign, and she said, "That's what I want on my tombstone."
Well, you know, the lamb over me. And I've just finished reading once again the book of Revelation, where the lamb is on the throne. You know, the lion becomes a lamb, and the lamb is on the throne, and we come under the lamb and the shed blood of the precious lamb.
And so my grandfather will be buried here one day. But you know, my grandfather's always said, this is what my grandfather's always said about his own death. He said, one day you will hear that Billy Graham is dead. And this is what Billy Graham said. He said, don't believe it, for on that day I'll be more alive than I've ever been. And so that's very much true. My grandmother's more alive today than she's ever been. It's just a rare body's life.
I just went into Google and I Googled Billy Graham quotes. Have you ever done that?
No, I've done a few. I got a few of his books too.
Yeah, I know. I've read books too. But Billy Graham quotes.
Mm-hmm.
And that I would just, everybody should do that. Is this the pathway to
Yes,
where
sir.
George is buried? You know, George Beverly Shea was a graduate of the Bible College where my dad was the principal in Ottawa. It was called Annesley College. And in 1947, I was 11 years old, and we went out to the Gospel Tabernacle, which seated 2,000 people. It was packed to hear George Beverly Shea.
Uh-huh.
He was an Ottawa boy.
Yeah.
He was our boy. But he moved to the States, of course, and was well known on Songs of the Night, and I carried across U.S. on radio. And so anyhow, we went to hear him, and there was a young preacher with him that I heard for the first time, whose name is Billy Graham.
How about that?
So this is where George Beverly Shea is buried.
That's right. And this is where we call him Uncle Bev. And so Uncle Bev died a little bit over a year ago now. and as you and I are here now. And so it's a beautiful spot here, and you'll see this is Billy Barrows next to him. Now that's not his wife, but Cliff's going to be buried here as well as Bev Shea's current, or wife right now would have been. She still lives in Montreat right now. She'll be buried here as well. So four of them will be buried right here. So the longtime friends and
members of the team.
Oh yeah.
What a
more of the family more than anything. That's why they get uncle status. Even though they're not technically related, we call them uncle here in the South.
What an example. What an example. And of course, George Beverly Shea, Uncle Bev, as you call him.
Right.
He would call me once in a while, and he at 103 was the last time he told me, "I'm watching you every day on my computer." He's watching 100 Huntley Street. So I thought, here he is, 103, computer savvy, amazing.
David, we're just great to have you here in North Carolina riding motorcycles. You've done it across Canada, now we're doing it across part of just the state of North Carolina. We're so grateful that you're here.
We're in the hills here of North Carolina, and I'm a little wobbly here. I think at 78 this summer, maybe my balance is a little off. In fact, my wife wants me to get a pair of training wheels on the back of this thing.
Training wheels. Well, you're doing pretty good. I hope I'm at your age. I can still ride a motorcycle. You can get on. I'm impressed.
Well, I couldn't have done it last fall, and I just believe God's not finished with me, and I've been invited to be on the team down at Southeastern University in Lakeland, Florida, and I'm thrilled with that. So, this is beautiful country. Just gorgeous.
Well, North Carolina sure is a pretty state, and you can see why my grandfather loved it here so much. But and he was a farmer, so he's a dairy farm. These are probably some dairy farms here beside us.
Yeah. My granddaughter Cheryl Nielsen talks about you a lot, and she's worked with you in the missions.
That's right. I remember, and she was a great help. Her and her husband did a great job doing ministry with us.
Hey, turn around and go back.
All right. Well, now, Mr. Mainse, how long have you been in ministry?
Well, I actually started preaching when I was 18.
18?
Planted a church in a community where I was a public school teacher. And so now I'm 78. How many years is that? 60 years. But your grandpa now, he's 95. Billy Graves, 95. I'm doing an awful job here.
95.
I'm doing an awful job driving slow here. They have these contests about slow driving, and it's too slow, George. Yeah.
Yeah, but and how many grandchildren do you have?
I have 16 grandchildren, and as of Saturday morning, your friend Cheryl Stacy, that's been with you on these missions where you've spoken to the youth and she speaks to the children, she just had another child. And so Saturday morning, little River, her name is River. Imagine the names they give these kids now.
Wait, now, is that number 3 for her?
That's number 4.
Number 4. Good gracious. I remember when
number
she was
4,
for the first
little
one.
River June. That's it. Born in June. River June, and her grandmother, her great grandmother, on the other side of the family, her name is June. So I know Cheryl would want me to give you her love and appreciation. And I'm still having problems.
Tell her I said hello.
Problems with this slow driving. You know, when you're going fast, you couldn't tip it over if you tried. But you go slow, and I'm beginning to realize my 78-year quotient of balance is starting to run out.